In August 2025, Mom and I set out to thru-hike the Pictured Rocks National Lakeshore, all the way from Grand Marais to Munising, her first ever backpacking trip. After hearing all about some of the trips I've gone on with friends and with my brothers, she told me, I want to do something like that sometime. And I said, You want to hike a bunch of miles and be all stinky and sweaty without showering for days? And she said, Yep, you're going to sleep in a tent, on the ground. And she said, Yep, you're going to drink water from a stream. Yep. So I said, All right, let's do it then. And next thing you know, we were off to Michigan. 'After getting dropped off by a shuttle bus that took us to the trailhead near Grand Marais, we popped into the visitor center where the rangers were kind enough to let us stash our packs inside while we did a quick out and back to go see the sand dunes and Sable Falls, which served as the perfect warm-up to our journey back to Munising. We made it back to the visitor center and grabbed our packs, and those who know me might not be surprised to hear this, but before we went any further, I convinced Mom to stop and have a snack at the trailhead before we even got started. So once we were fully fueled up, we were finally officially underway on our mom and son backpacking trip. 12 miles later, for a total of almost 15 for the day, we arrived at camp, just as Mom's legs were feeling it and she was reaching her limit. We paid a quick visit to the beach, thankful to not get blown away by the howling winds. But after the long day, we crawled into our tents at 7 p.m., where we stayed for the next 12 hours. By the next morning, Mom already had the training wheels off. She broke down camp and got all packed up like a pro, and we were off on another day of adventure. And the wind was right there with us again, too, pushing us along to our next destination. Thus far, we'd been fortunate enough to be able to fill up on water as we passed through other campgrounds that had running water. But the time finally came for us to filter our own. The waves were crashing in and rapidly receding back away from the sandy beach, making water acquisition a lot harder than it looked. Any water that I did manage to catch was full of sand, and after a few attempts, I think I ended up getting more water up my sleeve and down my armpit than I did into my bag. This is going swimmingly. Literally. The high waves ultimately proved to be both a blessing and a curse, because we managed to find a spot where the waves came up over a high point on the beach and left just enough water behind for us to work with. Mom did her best to build a little dam and preserve our sacred puddle, and I did my best to make gentle scoops and not get too much sand in the bag. I think it worked out pretty well. After our first day, Mom had already developed a couple blisters on her feet, and by the end of our second day, they had rapidly worsened to the point that it was time for me to play doctor. I'll spare you the gory details, but they were huge. The next day, they were still causing her a lot of pain, but Mom was bound and determined not to let a couple blisters stop her. And the views we got on day 3 gave her some extra motivation. The winds finally started to calm down, and after the loud crashing of the waves that literally left our ears ringing for the past couple nights, we enjoyed the peaceful serenity of the lake with extra appreciation. Unfortunately, as we continued to put more miles behind us, Mom's blister pain was becoming severe, so we had no choice but to resort to drastic measures. We had visited with another hiker who coincidentally happened to be staying at all the same campsites as us each night, and knowing about Mom's blisters, she lent her a pair of Crocs to use, hoping they might be less irritating than her shoes. And they gave Mom's feet just enough relief to make it the last few miles to camp. The next day was our last day, and we had a long journey back home. And even though we were planning on getting up early in the morning before our kind neighbor, she still generously left out her Crocs for Mom to use once more. We got up before sunrise and enjoyed the early morning peace within the forest, where it felt like we had the whole park to ourselves, and were serenaded by loons calling across the lake as our journey was coming to an end. With a few miles to go, Mom made a quick pit stop to put on the spare tires, and soon after, with mixed feelings of relief, accomplishment, and excitement for the dry, clean clothes waiting for us in the car, we crossed the finish line. Way to go, Mom. You did it.